Hey everybody, how's it going? It's the Crystal Flaffy, and today we got a trio that we're going to be talking about. The reason we're speaking about three mons all at once is because they all have the same exact skills. So, a little while ago, like a year or whatever, I don't remember how long ago, Chiroptie and a couple other Nat 2s were released all at the same time, like Peyote and Zared and stuff like that. And they were pretty much just carbon copies of other mons that we already had, just with different stats. And sometimes their actives were different, like sometimes they were AoE, sometimes they were single target, but we'll get into that later. So today we're going to be talking about Chiroptie, Squirrus, and Ty. So there's only Fire, Water, Wood, Squirrus, and they match up perfectly with Fire, Water, Wood, Chiroptie. And then there's only Light and Dark Ty, and they match up perfectly with Light and Dark Chiroptie. So we'll speak about all of them. We'll speak about them element by element. So comparing Squirrus, comparing them all at the same time, you know? That's how we'll do it. And they are all Nat 2s, so they're all going to be towards the bottom. We'll speak about Squirrus first, since it was the first of the two introduced. Here's the Evo 1. Just a cute, regular little squirrel. Does a nice little dance. And the Evo 2. Again, another dance. Very cute. And the Evo 3 does a little looking around and a jump. Alright. So, here's the regular. Here's the variant. I like the regular. The colors here just are weird. And I think, I might be wrong, but I think all the squares have different hair types. But we'll see when we look at the other elements. So, Fire Squares is a balance type, but its stats lead more towards tank. As you can see, it has nearly 30k HP, which is really good for a Nat 2 non-tank. And then its attack is, its attack and defense are lowish, you know, but for a Nat 2, they're alright, but in the grand scheme of things, they're not the greatest. And let's go straight to the skills. So the leader skill is Fighting Spirit, attack up 20 to 25%. It is general content, and it is a very good leader skill for squares to have. It's good for both the fire and the wood, which we'll get into wood later, but for fire it's good because Fire Squares is a Titan Mon. If we look at the skills, we have attack down 60% 1 turn on 3-star, and skill books bring that up to 70% 2 turns and give a 10% damage boost. Then on 5-star we have attack down again, 40% 2 turns, skill books bring it up to 60% and give a 15% damage boost there. So, Fire Squares is a pure attack down debuffer, which is really good. I don't think we have another pure attack down debuffer for the fire element. Like, I know wood has a couple of those, like Radis, Lupin, and Sanzang, but I don't think fire has double attack down, other than Squares, and Chiroptie, of course, since they have the same thing. I should note that Fire Squares, well, all the Squares have AoE actives, and that'll play a little bit of a role when we get into speaking about Chiroptie. So, anyway, but while we're still on Squares, you want to use it for Titans as an attack down debuffer. It's very good for early game against the Wood Titan until you get like Shinobis and Fire Cupids. Those are going to be, and Fire Nessas. Those are going to be the main attack down mons you want, but until you get those and get them built up, Fire Squares is a very good replacement, or substitute, I should say, just because it is dedicated to attack down. So every turn it'll be going for it, and it has pretty good rates after skill books. Before skill books, it's kind of lackluster that its attack down is only 1 turn, but skill books for Nat 2s are easy to come by, and they don't cost a lot to use. I think they're like only 50k or something like that, which is very low in the grand scheme of things. So there is that. And then, of course, the attack up leader skill is really good for Titans. So that's a good one to have. Let's go over to Fire Chiroptie now. So here we have the Evo 1. It's actually very cute. I very much like the design for Chiroptie. Here's the Evo 2. Again, very cute, but it's kind of like a... What is it? I want to say it's like a butler, but it's not... I don't know. It kind of reminds me of a butler. It's like Dracula in a bat form, but like... Okay, like a count. It reminds me of a count, or a duke, or something like snobby royalty, you know? But in the form of a bat. But anyway, so here's the regular, which does this weird jump and scream thing. Here's the variant. I actually really like the variant. The colors aren't too, like, neon, whatever, as it is for Squirrus, and also, like, Squirrus' color scheme doesn't really, like, each color doesn't go with the other. No, don't tell me the Wi-Fi went out. Okay, good. But yeah, the color scheme for this one looks really good. I like that. Looking at the stats, it is an attacker, and it has pretty good attack for a Nat 2, and HP as well for a Nat 2 non-tank. Its defense is very low, so keep that in mind. And its skills, of course, are the exact same as Fire Squirrus. Its leader skill, though, is different. It's Protected Shield, so 20 to 25% defense up, and again, general content, which is also very good for Titans. You know, you would rather have an attack up leader skill, but defense up is also very good there. I should point out, though, the thing about Chiroptie, as of now, does not get skill books. So, in terms of skills, Fire Squirrus is far superior, currently, when fully booked. In the December 31st dev notes, they did note that they're going to be giving out skill books to all the mons that don't currently have it, so this could change, well, will change in the future. So hopefully they get Fire Chiroptie to have at least the same skill book values as Squirrus to make them on par again. The difference, though, other than skill books, between Chiroptie and Squirrus is that Chiroptie has a single target active, and that means that it has a higher damage multiplier on its 5-star skill. The regular multiplier for 5-star skills on AoE is 1.1%, I think, and on single target it's, I think, 2.3%. So it's a very large increase, and Chiroptie being an attacker, that is good, but keep in mind that even with a single target active and being an attacker, it's not, because of its skills, it's not going to be doing much damage against Titans either way. One, because it is a pure debuffer, so you're going to want to build it with debuffing in mind with your gems. So survivability over damage. And then also, it doesn't have a damage boosting skill like Hunter, Predator, Courageous Strike, things like that. I forgot to mention, guys, I am speaking a little bit quieter because it is early in the morning and people are still asleep in my house, so I'm not trying to disturb people. Should have mentioned that earlier, but completely forgot. Anyway, how I would build both Squirrus and Chiroptie for the fire type, fire element or whatever, I'd build them both for survivability, so HP, HP defense, or HP defense defense. In Chiroptie's case, I'm leaning more towards HP defense defense because its defense stat is really low. Actually, for both of them, I would do HP defense defense, just because they both have really good HP compared to their defense stat. So yeah, that's it for fire, and let's move on to water. Alright. The only thing I hate about doing Nat 2 videos is that they're so close to the bottom of the damn guide. Where is it? There we go. Yes, their hair is different. Okay. This one has like a swirl. The other one was just like a comb over thing. Let's put up the stats. And so here's the regular. And here's the variant. I like the regular for this one as well. I don't know. It's weird. Yeah. Okay, so looking at the stats, it is a defender. Its HP and defense are both pretty good for a Nat 2, and its attack is low, but again, it's alright for a Nat 2 non-attacker. Let's look at the skills. So, on 3-star we have Recovery Down, 60% one turn. Skill books bring it up to 70% and give a 15% damage boost. And on 5-star we have Sap, 40% one type, 2 turns. And skill books bring it up to 60% and give a 15% damage boost. So, it's only one place where the Squirrus, or Water Squirrus, has use, and that is against Light Colossus, as it's just dedicated to getting off that recovery down. Keep in mind, 70% is pretty low. It would have been nice. Also, it would have been nice if skill books brought it up to 2 turns, because, you know, if it resists, you're kind of screwed for that extra turn. Like if it lands turn 1 and then turn 2 you miss, you're screwed. Whereas it being 2 turns gives you an extra turn of like leeway with the resist. Besides that, though, there isn't really anywhere else you'd want to use it. I should point out that there are much better recovery down mons out there, and that is if you choose to go the recovery down route for Light Colossus over the Dark Nuker method, which, in my opinion, is more consistent. Yeah, and how it would build it, HP defense, I think would be best. Or HP defense, either could work. And let's go over to Water Chiroptie, or Torokhtiy. I have no clue how to pronounce this thing's name, by the way, so I could be saying it wrong, I don't know. Here's the regular, here's the variant. I like them both. It's a very subtle change, you know? The blue for the wings and the head get lighter, but then the white for the belly and face turn into like a very light blue. They're both very nice. Looking at the stats, it is a tank, has really good HP. Its attack is okay, but its defense is abysmal. That's one of the lower, close to the lowest defense stat in the game, excluding like fake Pinolo, because fake Pinolo has like 75 defense or something like that. But yeah, so skills are the same as Squirrus, and as we said before, Chiroptie doesn't get books, so they don't get any better. I realized I did not mention anything about its sap. Its sap being 60% 2 turns after books for Squirrus is okay. It would have been nice if it was 2 types, at least. But either way, you're not going to be using it anywhere for its sap, just because it's on 5-star. So you won't be getting the sap often enough for it to be viable, even if it had a better rate. So yeah, between Water Squirrus and Chiroptie, I would definitely go with Squirrus for now. If you really need it for, if you really need a recovery down mon for like Colossus, that is. If not, both of them are just food for the other elements. So, with that said, let's move on to wood. Oh, I forgot to mention for Water Chiroptie, if you want to use it, I'd build it HP defense. It definitely needs that defense boost, whereas its HP is already fine enough as it is, so it doesn't need too much investment there. Oops, went too low. Alright, so here we have wood. Wood Squirrus, in my opinion, the best of the Squirrus. Squirrus, however you want to say it. Here's the variant. This is one of the rare times where I actually like the orange variant. Yeah, I like it because it's more like fall, autumn colors. It's pretty nice. Wood Squirrus is an attacker, has a pretty good attack stat for a Nat 2. Its HP is very low in comparison to the water and fire elements that we've just been looking at, but for a Nat 2 attacker, it's still alright. And its defense is low as well, but that's alright. Getting into the skills, it is pure defense down, so 60% 2 turns on 3-star. Skill books bring that up to 80% and give a 15% damage boost. On 5-star, it is defense down 50% 2 turns, and skill books bring it up to 40% 2 turns. Skill books bring it up to 50% and give a 15% damage boost. So, this is another pure debuffer, so you're going to want to use it in Titans for that debuffing. And even though it's an attacker, you do want to build it with survivability, because either way, it's not going to be doing much damage. Its attack set is low, and it does not have a damage boosting skill. So build its survivability, HP defense, or HP defense. Either of those can work. Its defense is rather low, so maybe HP defense would be better, but that is something that I would recommend experimenting with if you do want to use the Squirrus. And obviously, later game, you're not going to need any of the mons that I'm talking about in this video. Well, we'll get into some of them later because of the new, because of the announcement of a 1 to 3 star PvP league. So we'll get into that when we get to the light and dark. But for Fire, Water, Wood, you're not really going to need any of the mons in this game, in this video. This is more for early game players. And let's move on to Chiroptie while we're still here. So here we go. So the regular is a nice green. The variant, it's a nice orange. Both of them are nice, but I do like the regular more this time. So this one is a balance type, and if you were to compare the stats to the Fire Squirrus, you'd see this is a bit more balanced, you know? Its HP is about the same, close to 30k, and its attack and defense are close to 2k, which is pretty good overall for a Nat 2. So, yeah. And then skills, same as Squirrus before books, but again, no books here, so they don't get any better. Until this thing gets books, Squirrus is definitely the way to go. Though, I should note, this thing, Chiroptie does have better defensive stats than Squirrus does, so it is more likely to live longer, though it is less likely to land its debuffs. So that's something to compare the two for you. And I would build it the same way I built Squirrus, HP defense, or HP defense. Now, let's move on to light, where we'll speak about Torokhtiy and Chiroptie. I'm actually pretty annoyed. I had to make this thumbnail a second time. I gotta make it twice, because the first time I forgot to put Torokhtiy on it. And then I had to remake it, because I didn't, save the Clip Studio file, because I use Clip Studio Paint for editing my thumbnails. Anyway, so here's the regular for Torokhtiy, which I actually really like the design for Torokhtiy. It's very cool. Here's the variant. It's a white tiger. Very, very cool. I like it a lot. Looking at the stats, it is a balance type. It has pretty good HP for Nat 2. Its defense is okay. Its attack is alright as well, getting a little bit low though. Moving on to the skills, it has Death Blow as its leader skill. So critical hit damage, 30 to 35%. It's very nice. Sorry about that notification. Forgot to put it on Do Not Disturb mode. On 3-star, we have Light Predator, 50%. Skill boost give a 25% damage boost. And on 5-star, we have Shock, 80% 1 turn. Skill books bring it up to 90% and give a 15% damage boost. So its skills are very good for an offensive mon, but it's just unfortunate that its stats are more towards a tanky mon, or at least a more survivable mon than a damage dealer. This thing doesn't really have much use. I mean, you can use it for an attacker against the Light Titan, because that Light Predator is going to help, but you'd have to build it full class, and its defense is not that great for that content. You can also use it against Light Colossus to deal damage there, but again, there are much better options. The last thing I should mention, though, is in the upcoming 1 to 3 star Astro League thing that was announced in the previous dev notes. This thing does have potential as a attacker against full light teams, or at least light heavy teams, just to take those mons out, do extra damage there. And then of course 90% 1-turn shock is still very good on AoE. Oh, I should mention, Torokhtiy is a single target active, so Yeah, because 90% AoE shock is pretty OP for a Nat 2, so they did have to make it single target there. But that just means that it's going to have a 2.3 times damage multiplier, so building it fully offensive is a pretty decent option. But now let's move on to Chiroptie, which is, here we are. Here's the variant. Here's the regular. I like the variant. Looks like it's like kind of made out of stone or something. It's pretty cool. Looking at the stats though, it is a defender, and it has pretty good HP and defense, both are really good, and its attack is actually so damn low. And of course it has the same skills as Throkhtiy, but its attack stat is even lower, so its skills are for damage, but its attack is very low, so this thing isn't going to do super well on offense in comparison to Throkhtiy. It can work, you know, you can build it full glass and still have some survivability, but you're going to need to put a whole lot of investment, and its attack set is very close to the point where flat gems are better than percent, which I can do a quick calculation to see just how much difference it is. So a flat gem at plus 15, 6-star, would give its attack 715 points, and a percent gem plus 15, 6-star will give 898.28% points of increase. So it is almost a 200-point difference, which is very little in the grand scheme of things. So that's just to emphasize how low its attack set is. If I were to use either Chiroptie or Throkhtiy for the light element, I would definitely lean towards Throkhtiy, just because both of them do have the offensive skills, but Throkhtiy has better offensive stats. So yeah, that, and how I would gem them both, I would gem them fully offensively, like crit rate, attack, crit rate, attack, crit damage, triple attack, you know, things like that. Probably triple attack would be the best for them, just because both their attack stats are very low, especially in Toroktiy's case. And yeah, they have potential as attackers for the 1 to 3-star Astro League that will come out eventually, sometime this year. Which, by the way, I will at least I'm hoping and planning on making a video just going through all the Nat 3s and 2s, and just to point out which ones would be really good in that upcoming league thing. So look forward to that coming soon. My birthday is this month, so maybe I'll upload it on that day. That should be fun. A birthday present to me. Anyway, on to Torokhtiy. So here's the regular, here's the variant. Both are cool, but I do like the regular because of that purple. You all know I love my purple. So looking at the stats, it is a defender, and it has really good defense and HP, and its attack is very low. Looking at the skills, same 3-star as light, but against the dark element rather than against the light element. So same thing here. Well, wait, before we get into that, so it gives a 25% damage boost on that 3-star Dark Predator, and then on 5-star it has Silence, 80% one turn, skill books bring it up to 90% and give a 15% damage boost. Again, is also single target. Just comparing between light and dark, I should point out, in terms of the 5-star, Shock is much better than Silence, but both are usable, so it's alright. But same thing we said about light Chiroptie, its attack stat is very low, and it has offensive skills, which is not ideal, so you're going to have to put a lot of investment in its attack for it to do well. But then again, that also means you can gem it fully offensively, so crit rate, attack, crit rate, attack, crit damage, something like that, and not worry about survivability. Just on its base stats alone, it's pretty good for a Nat 2. Of course, this would not be very usable in the regular league that has a lot of 4 and 5-star mons, but in a league that has 1 to 3 stars, it can do pretty well against full dark teams, or at least teams that are dark heavy. which I'm not sure off the top of my head if we'll see teams like that in a 1 to 3 star league, but well, we'll probably see a lot of dark mildew, so it'd be good against that. But anyway, let's move on to dark Chiroptie. So finally an attacker among the light and darks, which is good because they all have offensive skills, but none of them have offensive stats except in this case. But before we get there, looking at the design, the color scheme, here's the variant. I like the regular because of the purple. I like everything about the variant except the bow tie thing. I don't like that. That color doesn't really suit the rest of it. Now, the stats, it has good HP for Nat 2 non-tank. And its attack set is alright. It's not the best. If we were to compare to the other attacker mons that we've seen in this video, Squirrus has, I think, 200 points more for the wood element, and I think Fire Chiroptie has like 200 more, or 300 more, or something like that. So, its attack stat isn't the best, but it is much better than the light and darks that we've seen so far, and that goes very well with its Dark Predator on 3-star, which will be very good, as I said, against light-heavy defense teams. The silence is good for preventing actives. I should note that one of the mons that we'll probably see from the dark element on defense will be light mildew, as I said earlier. And this thing has a base 30% resist, being a light-dark healer. So the silence won't be too good on that, but the predator would be good. Would be very good. There might be other mons that the silence will be useful against, but we won't go looking through all the dark type Nat 5s. Nat 2s and 3s. If I were to build it, same thing with Torokhtiy, crit rate attack, crit rate attack, crit damage. You can go triple attack for either of these two, or yeah, you can do that, but because they're dark types and they have that base 100 crit damage, you're gonna want to abuse that, so you're gonna want to use a crit rate gem there. Though you don't have to, of course. You can just get like high crit rate subs and hope for the best. Let's see. You can also use... Oh, I didn't mention this with Ty, but it applies to both Ty and Chiroptie. You can try using them against the Dark Colossus. Just know they're going to need a lot of support if you do that. They'll do decent damage, especially in Chiroptie's case. Sorry, my cat tried to jump on the counter and failed. You can try to use them against the the Dark Colossus, but you're going to need to pair them with a passive healer to keep them alive, like Water Persephone or something like that. But you'll find the most use from them against heavy dark teams in a 1 to 3 star Astro League thing, And anyway, that's going to be it for all of them. I don't have any of them built up, so I can't really show them off. I'm at the point where I don't really need them, though I might consider building Dark Chiroptie depending on how heavy or how good the Nat 2s and 3s for Dark Mons are, because I need to go look through that to see how viable it'll be. But anyway, how I would prioritize all of them. So from the Squirrus, I'd prioritize wood, then fire, then water. For the ties, light, then dark. Just because shock is better than silence, and also it has better offensive stats. And then for the Chiropties, I'd go wood, fire, dark, light, water. So wood is the best because without books, it has the best values. And then fire is pretty good too without books. Dark might jump up a little bit depending on how viable it is in a 1 to 3 star Astro League, which I do see it having good potential there. Also, it'd be nice if it gets books too. And then light, same thing, though its attack stat is pretty low, so that brings it down below dark. And then water last, because it's only useful against the Colossus, the light Colossus, and even then without books, it's not that great there. But anyway, that's going to be it for this one. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and comment below any questions or whatever, or anything, any feedback, all that stuff, you know. Hit the bell to stay notified for whenever I upload, and subscribe and all that stuff, you know. Yeah, look forward to a video on all the Nat 2s and 3s, looking to see what has good potential for the upcoming 2 to 3 star or 1 to 3 star league. I should point out that they didn't give a date that's gonna be released, so it could be December 2020 that comes out, but it's good to prepare in advance. You know, they did say that they're gonna be doing a balance patch before it happens, or sometime this year, focusing on 1 to 3 star mons. So some of the stuff can change, but I don't see things changing too much. And if they do change a lot, you know, we'll cover the balance patch whenever it comes out. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Have yourselves a good day, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.